Hi everyone, I have an exciting review today on the MDM slippers. I tried both the Intrinsic Reflex and the Intrinsic, and so I'll be giving an overview. I only kept one pair and I sent one pair back, but I'll kind of tell you the differences as well. Sorry about the background noise, there's some sprinklers going out there and an AC unit, so a little bit of noise, but that's just summer in my studio. So, and I'm also a little sweaty. I just did Catherine Morgan's summer video, her little bar center combo, and it was awesome. So if you haven't checked that out, you should, because it's a really good one. But anyways, back on to the MDM review. So I have a condition that I did not know existed called fat pad atrophy. So fat pad atrophy is kind of a funny name. But basically a lot of women get it in their late 30s and early 40s, and they won't notice it until it gets to a point where it's quite painful sometimes. But basically what it means is, like, as you age, the fat, the adipose tissue in the pads of your feet and your heel start to break down. And I was finding it really painful to do bar on flat, ironically. It was more comfortable in my point shoes most of the time. And so I was kind of frustrated because there's always there's like some pain that comes with extended point shoe use, and then there's obviously now I had pain on flat, and so I was just trying to figure out what was going on. And so I decided to give the MDMs a try because I just felt like it was time. I had thought about it a long time, and I wanted to invest in something that would give me a little bit more support and hopefully help with my alignment and maybe a little bit more support in my foot. So first of all of them come in this super cute little bag, and they have a little pin. It's like you can take it off. It's a little button, an MDM button. And then I ended up keeping the Intrinsic Reflex. So the basic difference is it has like this little stretch panel in the middle, which I like. I find it's got a nice soft, I'll just turn it inside out, liner, and it has a nice leather pad on the inside and the outside, so it doesn't do like any of the weird bunching stuff that oftentimes happens. And then also because, so sometimes I talked about this before, the smaller pads will bother me, but this one doesn't bother me at all because the placement is perfect, and this is thicker. Like the canvas is a little thicker, so it's not quite as much of a ledge, so it doesn't really cut into my foot at all. It's quite comfortable. And it has a heel, let me just pull those back. It has like a little bit of this foam arch support, and it has, which keeps the heel nicely shaped as well. So I do feel a little bit of feedback. If I find myself pronating, I will feel the feedback, and kind of, this shoe helps you kind of be aware of that, and I feel like it's helped translate over to my point work as well. It's a really nice panel in there to kind of give you feedback on where your weight is. I also had it's called a synovial leak. Sounds like I'm falling apart. It's like a little it's called a synovial cyst, I think, or a Baker's cyst. But basically, if you have a knee injury, some of the fluid will go into the synovial fluid will go into the little channels, and it gets caught, like too much fluid gets in there, and so it looks, I don't think you can see it, but you can see it when I stand up. I'll show you when I stand up. But this happens if you put your weight in your heels too. So you can get it from a knee injury, you can get it from hyperextension, sometimes it happens, and then obviously it can happen if you put your weight in the heels. So I just wanted to share, like, that was kind of those two things. I was like, okay, it's time to invest. They're a little bit more than regular slippers, but it's worth it, right? The vamp on these is quite a bit higher than the regular Intrinsic. So that was one thing where I was like, oh, I love the Intrinsic Reflex, but I wish the vamp was just a hair lower. It's just it doesn't really matter with soft shoes, but just aesthetically, I would have liked to have the Intrinsic Reflex with the option of the vamp that came in the Intrinsic, because the Intrinsic had a lower vamp, but it had the full panel. Like the foam and the panel was more supportive down here as well. And the Intrinsic Reflex has less down here, and then that stretch panel and the heel cap and the arch support and all of that, but the vamp is a little higher. So those are the main differences. So that would be my one, like, if I could change one thing, I would bring this down just a hair because it kind of feels like it's swallowing up my foot. And for people who have like super high insteps, archy feet, I understand the need, but I just prefer that my foot isn't completely covered like that. And the reason why I didn't keep the reflex or the regular intrinsic, and I kept the intrinsic reflex instead, was the regular intrinsic. I just couldn't quite get I could point my foot, but it felt like it was like this and this. It wasn't like rounded. It was like two planes, kind of because of the arch support. So somebody who has very strong feet or wider, thicker feet, the intrinsic would probably be great for. I'm pretty fine boned, so I felt like this was a better choice for me. So they could find the balance of like supporting my feet and also having the aesthetic look that you want in flat shoes. So I'll just put them on. I don't use the straps. I actually have been meaning to cut them off, but I haven't yet done that. I really like the heel cap because I don't use straps, and I really don't like when the heels slip off. And they don't do that with these, so which is nice. So I'll hop up here, so you can see. So I get a lot of feedback. I don't know if you can see it, but I get a lot of feedback from like where I'm rolling, if I'm rolling, and things like that. And then also, if I lift my foot up, it's like the heel is a nice shape. It stays, because it has enough fabric, it actually stays. It's not way low, which I like a low heel in a point shoe, but I need any slippers I use to actually have like, a heel that stays. So you can see it kind of keeps its shape. I think they're flattering, and they're very comfortable. So I'm trying to see if there's anything that I can do to show you. But yeah, they're very comfortable. I feel like it helps me to pull up my arch a little bit more, so I can work through and feel, where I need to keep my weight and everything. And I think they're gonna last longer than most of my soft shoes, because most of them are super thin. People really seem to like this like sock-like feeling, which I totally get. But these, because it's not two material. Oh, it is two material. I thought it was one material that was lined. So it's two separate materials sewn together. This like felty stuff, and then the canvas. So, but it feels like they're almost one. They're very tightly sewn together. There's no bunching or bagging that goes on. So, anyways, I got a 9 in because I'm super narrow, as everybody who's watched my videos would know. And then I should mention, it has like this like panel sewn right here to reinforce this part, the stretch, so you don't have to worry about it like tearing or coming apart. So I'm really impressed. I think this is going to be my shoe, like my go-to shoe from now on. I feel like I have less foot pain, which is really good. And don't take anything that I say as medical advice. Obviously, I'm just sharing my personal experience with my personal issues, to kind of put it out there and help, and then give reviews on the options. If you find that, like say you get a Baker's cyst from overuse in your knee or from hyperextension, it's something that has to do with alignment a lot of the time. So just something to think about. And then you can obviously get advice from a PT or a doctor. But hopefully this helps. Let me know if you have any questions. The intrinsic reflex, and just give them a try. If you have foot issues, you might be pleasantly surprised. Okay, thanks, bye.